Anybody?
Hi all, it's 5:32, so we're gonna get going because a lot of people have busy schedules and we're so fortunate to have Monica with us this evening. And Hank reminded me after the last meeting, we should just take a quick, hi, I'm so-and-so and I do this, so that everybody knows who everybody is. We make assumptions sometimes. And I have a mask because I have a cold, but I tested negative. But, you know, never trust it. So why don't we start with you, well, no, I'm going to introduce Monica and Chris. You go ahead.
Sure. I'm Chris Dodge. I'm the principal at Swanton Elementary School.
I'm Nicole Draper. I'm the Executive Director of Swanton Recreation. I also sit on the Town of Swanton Select Board.
I'm Susie Kelleher. I'm the chair of the Beautification Committee, and I also sit on Promote Swanton and with Nicole.
Yep, me too.
And I'm also a village trustee.
I'm Christina Candles. I'm the Assistant Town Administrator.
Joel Clark, I'm the budget guy for SEP, and then I'm on the Swanton Select Board.
Neil Spear, Swanton Village Trustee.
Marie Spear, I'm on the Art Council, otherwise I'm retired.
Michelle Desatel, I'm the branch manager at People's Trust Company here in Swanton.
My name is Nick Brusso. I represent the Historical Society, and I'm also a Town Select Board member.
Hank Lambert on the Beautification Committee.
I'm Kirsten Bourgeois. My day job is Director of Marketing and Industry Affairs for Dairy Farmers of America. I live in the town of Swanton, and I'm on the SEP group.
I'm Crystal Lyman, and former Executive Director of Franklin County Care and Communities, now volunteer for them. My day job is for the City of St. Albans at the Police Department, and I serve on the Healthy Communities Committee.
Great. And I'm Molly Lambert, and I'm the interim chair for this group. Very proudly so. But we're not going to get to you.
Okay, and I'm Monica Green. I'm the president and CEO of Vermont Precision Tools here in Swanton.
I told Monica I had a great time preparing an introduction for her, so I don't want her to get too detailed before I get a chance.
I can't wait to hear it.
Isaac. Okay, so we need to go to the agenda, and I think I gave all of them away. Thank you. And first of all, I would bet that all of you have reviewed the minutes, and thank Christina for preparing minutes even though she wasn't at the meeting. And it's a hard thing to do. And so between us, we got the minutes done. Would someone who has read them please make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or amendments to the minutes? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, Joel.
Okay, finance. Unrestricted right now has a balance of $11,556.35. 1,500 of that has been committed to the Swan Pond, which that project is ongoing, but have not written a check yet, so that drops us down to about 10,000. And then at the last meeting, Abby spoke about and was going to get us information, and she did, regarding the pool pass. So 1/3 share for us is $432. We have not voted to approve that, so we should tonight, and then I can write that check. So that drops us down to about 10,500, and we have not gotten our annual from the town yet, but that was as part of the budget that was approved, so we would get some money for the unrestricted. In the restricted, right now, there is a balance of $12,632. 3,800 of that is what we committed to the LVRT project, which that project, they should start construction. The other night I told the select board it was going to be the 12th, but the contractor said now on the 19th, so we will be writing that check fairly soon. In the restricted by category, bikes and signs, just has a small balance of $88.95, and that's where we took that $3,800 out of to get the matching for the LVRT project. Capacity building, we have $1,477.25. Substance misuse, $1,625.61. Beautification has $4,825.19, and Marble Mill has that $815 that we received, and we have not committed to using that yet. Also, there's a CD for beautification for $16,482.84. That matures tomorrow, and we're gonna get it back at the same rate, an annual percentage rate of 4%. And then we have a separate one we opened on March 7th for $10,000. And a lot of that is the money we received from the Taylor estate. So we're very fortunate that we are pretty set for money for beautification, plus whatever fundraising that's going on will be added to the money that they use for this year. So that's the finance report. And I guess the other piece, we have not received from the town the $1,500, but they also put $4,000 toward trees, so that will add to the amount of money beautification has.
Do you know, does anybody know, is the village's contribution in there too, or did I miss that?
I have not received any contribution from the village yet this year, but I'm quite sure they were putting some money aside.
Yeah, so the village put aside $5,000, and I submit the receipts directly to our Trish in the office, and she pays the vendors directly. So that's how the village wants to handle their portion, and that's how we do it. I know the town does it separately. They send the money to you, and then he'll pay the rest of the invoices that come.
And the 5,000 is not limited to beautification, it's to support the workers, right?
No, that 5,000 is for beautification.
Yeah, I think the village and the town put separate amounts for the trees, which is part of the beautification piece of it. The $1,500, that comes from the town for unrestricted.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any questions for Joel and once you ask questions, does anyone want to make a motion to expend the $442 for the pool pass?
432.
Oh,
I'll make that motion. Yeah, I would, I think last year we took it out of the substance misuse funding.
Okay.
And I think that's a perfect use for that funding.
That's even better.
So let's take that from there.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nicole. Is there any further discussion about that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any? Okay, great. Thank you. Now I get to introduce Monica. So I was wanting to put together a little introduction for Monica, and I decided it would be too bland to go to your professional bio on the website. So I wanted to talk about Monica a little bit. First, most of you know this business was founded in 1968 by Monica's dad and his friend, partner, Ray Booten, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so Monica has been with the company, now look at Monica, 42 years. Wait a minute, something's not computing. At any rate, as a student at MEDU, she started working for the business. I'm sure no child labor laws were violated. And then getting her accountant degree from CVU, she continued to work at the business. And in 1996, she became a partner in the business and now is sole owner of this incredible family-grown, homegrown business. And what I loved, and I did take this from your professional bio, Monica, as you all may remember, was the U.S. Small Business Administration person, Small Business Person of the Year in 2015. And she said at that time that the reason the company was so recognized and so trusted is because the company focuses on family, quality, and customers. And they've maintained those three really important threads, which has led to tremendous expansion, tremendous employment, and a tremendous gift to all of us who live here. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. That was a very nice intro. Normally I stand up in front of my group at work and then just like have to do the dry, Monica, I'm the president, because we do have quite a bit of new employees. And what I think I can do is from Molly's intros, for those who don't know who I am, kind of fill in some of the history on how we came to be, and the other part that I was asked is to talk a little bit about the challenges and even some of the positives that we've been experiencing in the last few years. So we did start in 1968 here in Swanton, have always been in Swanton in terms of our business and headquarters. My father and Ray Booton started the business, and there was literally two, and then my uncle, and then my grandmother, and so we started very, very slow. Today in the Swanton plant, we have 212 employees. We have 107,000 square feet. We started in 800 square feet. So, we've expanded our footprint and our presence, but have always done so in Swanton in terms of headquarters. And I'll talk a little bit about, we've had some other sort of business startups, and some of those have started up and closed and transitioned into one of two businesses, Vermont Precision here, where we also sell our product under the brand name Vermont Gauge. And also we have a plant in South Central Kentucky called Vermont Thread Gauge, and we have 125 employees at that plant. They are a wholly owned subsidiary. So at one point, there was a Colorado facility that got moved to Kentucky. At one point, there was a Vermont Custom Gauge in Lyndonville that came to Swanton as well. So essentially, we have two locations, and between the two, we have just under 200,000 square feet. What we do is we make fixed limit gauging and medical burr blanks. We've kind of consolidated our manufacturing, really focused on two different types of product. And I brought some because most people don't know what I'm talking about when I say fixed limit gauging and burr blanks. So fixed limit gauge, it's in the description. So fixed limit, it is not a variable gauge. It's a gauge made to a certain size and tolerance, and this happens to be what they call a go, no-go assembly. So you can check an ID or an OD, depending on what gauge that you're using, to inspect a hole that's been drilled, reamed, tapped. And if you have a mating part, for example, any two manufacturers may have tolerances that their parts have to fit. They use our type of gauging. It's in aerospace, automotive, computer technologies, plastics. So it's very widespread in terms of the use of go-no-go gauging. This happens to be a thread gauge. And this is a ring gauge, so it's actually inspecting a plug gauge or a plug. So the thread is in the inside, and they're checking a solid, where would be checking a hole or an opening. So those are a couple types of our gauging. And then our other main line is what we would call medical burr blanks. So about a third of our revenue is in these type of blanks that are surgical drill blanks. So our customers are the Medtronics and Strykers and Johnson & Johnsons, who will buy these as a blank, not as a finished product. So we're not FDA regulated. But these go out and they'll eventually have a flute or a burr Diamondberg put on the grinding tips, and all the ones I happen to grab, these happen to be spine cutting tools. So these are bone cutting tools that we manufacture, and we manufacture a couple million of these a year. They're disposable tooling in the medical world, so it's a one and done. And they come in various sizes, lengths, and so I happened to grab a longer one just so that you can see. And I did have to ask my technical guy, like, what is that drilling out in your body? So it's when surgery. This is actually a spinal drill, and it's when they have to go in from a different location. So it's not a close location. So they have to have access for some of the bone cutting, and so we do sell some 12+ inch drills. So with that said, there are two major geometries. One is the head diameter, so that it depends on what they're doing. Our biggest seller is the cranial flat cutter, so it's used for brain surgery. So there's a certain type of geometry that's used for that. And the other is the tang end that sits in the drill itself. So this is going to sit on the top of the drill. And these are all patented by the medical device companies. That's their tooling is set up. And these transition every 5 to 7 years because they're looking for to include new technology. And our team members, who are people who grew up around here, most of them high school graduates who have been doing this for a long time, are really sitting at the tables with Medtronic or Stryker and helping plan the manufacturability of these tools. So they're talking about the tolerances, the shaft diameter, the radiuses. So how do we get this, one, to be economical, because they're always looking for that, but two, it's got to be a substantial tool that will hold up at high RPMs in a surgical situation. So there's a lot to this, and most people don't understand when I say medical burrs, but they are really just a blank stage of a surgical drill. So I'll leave these out for people to take a look at. So we've kind of evolved the business. Like I said, it's focused. The revenue of our company at this point has grown to be about $45 million in total revenue. So it is kind of year-over-year growth that we're looking for, small incremental growth because of us being in a small town, and our Franklin, Kentucky location is very similar to Swanton. It is a small community in which we really thrive by bringing in people who, now we're seeing multiple generations come into the business because we've been there long enough, but are really committed to having a good work-life balance, want to live and work, or work close to home so they can be at the school for their kids, or they can be involved in their community in some fashion. So we draw from local communities. Kentucky seems to be easier for employment pools. We have no openings currently. Vermont, we have about 10 openings, have had 10 to 15 openings for the last 3 or 4 years since, I'll say, post-COVID. And this is probably not news to anybody that's in industry, whether you're in retail, banking, other. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for us. It's the same issues that you've all heard that are in community-wide. So the cost of housing, availability of daycare, these all affect the ability for people to settle here and work here. The wage competition is still pretty fierce, even though there's not a lot of industry in Swanton. People will travel for pay and benefits. That cost has continued to rise at a pretty rapid pace after the last couple of years. And I think it's tied again to our unemployment rate. So as those numbers stay at the 2 to 2.5%, it's really challenging for us. We have committed prices on both lines, where these are medical customers require contracts well in advance. So any fluctuation in raw material costs, labor costs, those are things that we tend to have to absorb, at least short term. So surprises are not good, and I'll kind of segue into tariffs in a minute. So that the pressure for us is finding people who are looking to do the type of work, factory work, if you will, who have an aptitude for that. We find that there is, from a positive, a shift in the conversations that we're having with local schools. So high schools and college apprenticeship programs have really been a lot more open to understanding what our jobs are, what the opportunities are, bringing folks in. A decade ago, we'd never get guidance folks or people who are in the education system to come in and really see what we do and understand what the opportunities were. And I think there's been a shift, and I think it's not just in Swanton, statewide. I think we've seen a little bit of a shift in a support for that work. The workforce development at the state level has done quite a bit of work there, and again, there's some funding behind that, and we've seen the benefit of that. We've seen interest levels really improve. So that's helping us. I'll say that's a positive. One of the things we probably don't talk about a lot, and if you step back, you're going to say, well, yeah, of course that's happening. In a business like ours that is 50 years old, we have people who came into the business with me, and I'm one of the last baby boomers. So when we look at the generational gaps in the workplace, it's huge. And so we felt the pain, and we didn't know what it was. Culturally, we try and do our best to make sure people are engaged, and we understand the needs and try to adapt to that. But it took us a little bit to understand that we are working with millennials and Gen Z, Gen Y, which are the millennials, but the baby boomers, and we're saying they just have different expectations. They have different work ethics and priorities in life. And how do we blend that? And I think over a period of time, we realized we can't change it. We kind of have to leverage it, and we have to leverage what they do well, each in terms of those generations. So the baby boomers passing on to the millennials who are ready to take over. This is the age group that wants leadership responsibilities, who's earned it. They've put in the time. And the baby boomers are, just know, I'll say where all the bodies are buried. They know they've done it, they've made the mistakes, they've come long term. And then you've got the newer generations who are very digitally connected and capable. So today when we buy a new piece of equipment, it's CNC, it's computer controlled equipment. With lots of buttons and not a lot of levers anymore. So we're trying to blend those generational gaps, and we're realizing we really just need to work with people's strengths. And I think a lot of businesses are finding that out. You don't necessarily have to make it go away or try to make them all play together. You just kind of use the strengths that they have while you still have access to them. So we've got a strong workforce. I feel like we've got a sales team, a shipping and warehouse team, and manufacturing teams that just are very independent. So I, as owner, I'll say along with my kids, so I have 2 children in the business, and they are now part owners of the business as we look at succession planning long term. I think we're very fortunate to have long-term people that we depend on for all the different specialties within our company. So, and a couple of the other, I'll say, positives. One really goes out to our employees. We had created a continuous improvement suggestion program. I'm going to say it's going to be 5 years ago now, maybe 6. But since we've started, essentially, we do try and reward employees who bring suggestions up that are cost saving, eliminating waste somehow in the process. And we just went over 3,700 suggestions since we started the program. And these are not, change the stuff in the vending machine or something. These are true suggestions in their workplace, how to eliminate waste, how to make things safer. And so it is fantastic. We're getting on right now an average about 40 per month of suggestions, and they basically get a lottery ticket or something that acknowledges them, and the one who has the most gets a parking spot, goes to the door with a sign that says continuous improvement genius. And so there's a bit of competition in it. But there is hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings that have come from really a program that is all about the employees just sharing what they see because they do the work. And so that's a huge shout out for them. And one from the ownership is, we try really hard to pay competitive wages, but we also added a profit share program, and that has for both Vermont and Kentucky, and that's done a lot. And I checked, and today we've given out $2.3 million in profit share since we started the program. And that is, not every year do we have it because we have to meet a profit margin threshold, and some years we don't make that margin. So some years there is none, but in the years that we have, we share that with those employees. And now it's now over $2.3 million that we've done. So it's a two-way street, and I think a business our size really has to do that. So to keep growing. Tariffs and legislative changes that come with little to no notice sometimes, or little to no rationale sometimes. We're playing with that right now. We are somebody who brings in raw materials from both Japan and China. We also get plastics for our gauge bin sets, so we sell this product in a set configuration. As of right now, we actually have product holding in a warehouse in Canada. And it's a small, what we would call replacement pin shipment, but it's a good example. So we have a $43,000 shipment that came in. We're holding it, and we're going to pay storage fees until we're kind of gambling on what's going to happen with the tariffs. But if I were to bring that into the States, it would cost me $54,000 in tariffs. So we're at 125% with China, and it's a variety of other tariffs from different countries. The unfortunate part is companies like mine don't have a lot of sources. So if we had a domestic source, we would have been buying from a domestic source. But we don't have a lot of opportunities in supply chain for some of this. And the reality is, I think if we looked hard enough, and we won't be able to do it with the blanks, but maybe for the plastics, is that if we were to look at the cost of those plastics now, with the shipping and the tariffs, at a per piece price, is probably what we would pay if we tried to manufacture or have it manufactured in the States. So that's kind of where we're at, and we've made these changes to go offshore for some of our supplies because of the cost of it. So we don't know where that's going to shake out. Like everybody else, we're kind of waiting. We're gambling that the cost of storing it is going to pay off for us if the tariffs are negotiated. But that's something I think any business who utilizes supplies from or import supplies are going to be dealing with. So we know we're no different, and we're just going to see if we can figure out how to work through it this year. So unfortunately, it takes away from margins. There's only so much you can pass on to your customers as well in the form of surcharge or tariffs. And it'll be an interesting conversation and how much transparency there is to that. Again, it's the cost of my blank is very small compared to the labor and the processing, handling, it cost for us to take that blank and make it a finished product. So I'm going to take a breath because I've gone over my time and probably used most of Randy's, but he's not here. So yeah, I'll just see if there's any questions on items that I didn't talk about.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I would be curious to know, of the openings that you have right now, we talked about a lot of kind of the regional reasoning behind that and those other factors, but have you noticed a theme in skill set that you're looking for that you haven't been able to find? And my kids are elementary level kids, but I really do believe that career exploration begins at that level and works its way all the way up through high school. And so I'm wondering if there's a skill set that you would encourage the education community to be thinking more about.
Yeah, for us, it comes back to STEM, you know, in terms of that. So if they have even moderately strong math skills, they'll do well. I mean, for us, everything is measurement. So if you're going to manufacture length, size, tolerance, you can't be afraid of decimal points, and you have to be able to relate that to truly, you know, if I'm looking at something and I say it's 1/8 in diameter, I have to have a good conceptual idea of what that's going to look like. So we teach a lot. We've had a full apprenticeship program taught on site. We have a classroom on site. We do our own blueprint reading. We do our own 5S training. We do a lot of soft skills training now too. I would say if you ask my HR department, they would say we could train anyone to do any job if they had the full soft skills. So being able to show up on time, retain, take notes, you know, the basics.
Yep.
So I would say that's, for us, we've had people who worked in retail, in banking, in waitress, it doesn't matter. If they're ready to also work with their hands and can comprehend the measurement side of things, they could do any of that. Great question.
Any other questions for Monica?
What percentage of your employees in Swanton are from Swanton? Roughly.
Yep, I did come prepared with that number, but if I were to take an educated guess, I would say probably over 50%.
Wow.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Not only for the education and the information, but for having quality and focus on customers and family at the top of your agenda
Well, thank you.
in running
Yeah.
a business. It's very encouraging.
Well, I will say one thing, and again, many of you who are in business or in the capacity that you are in town government, you know, when you live and work in your community, you're going to run into people at the grocery store and church or wherever in passing, and you want to have a good feeling about how you've treated your, you know, people. You know, I don't want to be that person with a shopping cart looking over my back.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you know, it's so-and-so.
Yeah.
So you need to be comfortable, you be able to sleep at night that you treat people fairly, and so there's a lot of struggles and there's a lot of difficult tasks in owning businesses, but you just have to take that with the territory.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll just get on with the agenda and assume that Randy was late at a committee meeting or something. And Bill isn't here.
I'm gonna be Bill.
Oh, well, thank you, Susie, for being Bill.
All right, so village update. Our electric building passed 148 to 73. So our next steps are underway with the construction manager, Connor Construction, to start the planning to break ground at 124 First Street, which is also in the works to be annexed into the village from the town. I'd like to invite everybody to come on the 19th at 4 p.m. to the wastewater plant. We're having a kind of show and tell since we're halfway through the construction on that. And the trustees will be there. And we just have like a lot of general projects going on this summer. We're hoping to do the sidewalk over here on the side of the opposite side of the street from it's not St. Mary's anymore, but St. Mary's to Furman Place. We're working on Merchants Row upgrades. Remember, that's in 3 phases, so it'd be Merchants Row this year, Church Street next year or the year after, and then Canada Street after that. Banners are all in. We're just waiting for the hardware, so we'll have 75 banners up to honor our veterans by Memorial Day. And that's all I have. Do you have anything you wanted to add? No?
The street sweeper.
Oh.
That's not such a great story, but it's getting there. We purchased a new street sweeper. I'm the rookie on the board now, so I'm in training. So
Incredible.
if I'm behind it. But we've been looking for a street sweeper for years, and we purchased this one with a warranty. And it didn't turn out real good day one. We're working on it, so bear with us for the street sweeping. We're fine tuning it.
Yeah, there's a sensor that.
We're finished up the water line under the river. I guess that's probably old news now, but, and they paved Foundry Street because they had dug it up so much. But and after being back on the board and after this past week, I'm seeing a little more positivity in the community, because for a year and a half or so, negativity has been prevalent, and I'm real happy to see that we're getting some positive vibes in, and hopefully this year will tell a better story than the past couple of years.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for everything you do.
Thank you.
And it's my understanding, Joel, that you are Brian.
Pardon?
I'll be filling in for Brian tonight, yes.
Yes.
He couldn't make it. A few updates from the town. First, Monica, great presentation. Didn't realize 212 was the number. That's a significant number. Whatever we can do to help get these 10 to 12 vacancies filled, because that's obviously an impact on your business, not having them filled, and we want you to be around here for a long time, because that's a big impact to the town of Swanton. So thanks for that presentation. Last night, the Swanton Planning Commission met. Their last meeting on the updates to the bylaws. Part of the update is to make the permitting process easier, and also that it takes into account some of the stuff that was done in Montpelier that allows for more housing to be built and make it a little easier for housing. So those updates will now come before the select board, and we'll invite the village to come as well. And it takes 2 meetings before they become final, but sometime later in 2025, the new bylaws should be out. One thing we need help with, serving the public. We have 2 vacancies now on the Planning Commission, and we have 1 on the Development Review Board. So if you know of somebody you think who would like to join in the effort to run a town, those are some vacancies we have, and we'd appreciate sending some people our way, some names our way to fill those vacancies. We just opened our paving contract Tuesday night, so we'll be doing about $400,000 worth of paving. That's stuff that was budgeted in the town budget, and then we were very fortunate in the last week. The state has a Class 2 road paving grant project, and we submitted for that, and we've got about another $200,000 for paving under that. And we got another grant to start the design for the replacement of the culvert way up on French Hill on Berry Road. Very short section of road, but it's a culvert that is going to be very expensive to replace, but we did get a grant to get the design started on that. So that's a few updates from the town.
Jill, what's the,
No, you go ahead.
What's the process for filling the seats on the Planning Commission and the DRB? Is it an appointment at this point, or
Yes,
is it?
those are appointed positions. So basically, we're gonna put an ad out, and people send in some type of letter of intent with a little bit of their background history and stuff, and select board would love to see multiple. Should be up tomorrow.
Should be up tomorrow.
We'll take a look at the applicants and get them appointed. And
So-
it's a great opportunity for someone. It's usually 1 meeting a month, but it's a great opportunity to see how the town operates and just build your basic knowledge as you step up and maybe go into something else, like a select board position or something.
And for years, we've been saying, and it is so true, the planning commission, planning is where all the, it's where all the action is, because it is what unfolds 10, 20 years from now. And if the foundation is strong, and yeah, anyway, it's a really, really important role, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a question for both Brian and Bill. So many municipalities are in the throes of having grants interrupted because some of these grants, water and sewer particularly, usually has a federal component. Paving usually has a federal component. Are there any, projects that you're in the middle of that you just have to wait and see?
That's a great question, and the grants for the paving that we receive, that is strictly state money.
Okay.
The one caveat with the notification we got, it's pending the passing of this budget.
Okay.
So they tell us we shouldn't start any work before 1 July, but it's part of what's written into the budget. So unless the state makes a big change to what they're proposing for their budget, we should be good. We had a little scare with the Memorial Valley Rail Trail project, because that had a lot of federal funds involved with it.
Yeah.
But that, to date is secure. We have an actual contract that has been executed between the town and the contractor, so we think we're safe. And from the state's perspective, they keep telling us that one's good, so.
Yeah, good. Do you know?
So our wastewater is through a bond, so that's money that we have through the bond bank. So the way the bond bank works is we have to front the money, and then we put in a reimbursement, and then the bond bank gives us the money that we paid out. So that project that's underway will be completed because it's bond bank money. Now, we have some grants that are also state grants that we have the money in the coffers. We're not worried about that. We did have one federal grant that was on hold, and that was the grant to remove the trees and to remediate the trees in the Village Green Park. But then we got notice that the money was already at the state level, so they were gonna pay out the money for that. So we're moving ahead with that this summer. But there are some of our federal grants that are on hold right now in a holding pattern while we're waiting to see what's gonna happen and whether we can move ahead with some of those or not. I believe last meeting or the meeting before, when we had Heidi in, she said there was like 15 grants that are on hold right now. And Heidi Bridge-Valenta, who's our grant administrator, has been a godsend. We have been able to access millions of dollars in grant funding that we would not have been able to otherwise, and had to have gone to our very small tax base and asked them to, pay more money. And so she's worth her weight in gold as far as I think the board is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Well, that it's helpful to know, because as Monica was saying, it's just hard to plan. It's just hard to plan. And so everybody has to be aware of that and be patient. The wait and see. Any other questions for Bill or for Brian? Okay, then we'll move to the library. Abby had a dance, her little girls had a dance thing tonight, so she's not able to join us. Now, Abby often plays you, Nicole, at these meetings. Are you prepared to play, Abby?
Well, I can try. The library currently is closed due to some much-needed construction, but that is moving along well. They do have a satellite library set up in the Methodist Church right now, so that they can still provide patrons with services. We are collaboratively working, as always, on programming for the community at large. She has had some success with day camps during vacations. She's looking again at doing that during the summer months as well. And I think that's all I have for the library right now.
Well, excellent.
She has three weeks of summer camp programming. The first one is Community Helpers Camp. The second one is Art Camp, and the third one is Readers Theater Camp.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They just did Magical Creatures Camp over the April break. A lot of kids in the library having a blast.
Oh, that's fantastic. And someone will tell Abby that we approved the
Most
money
certainly
for
will.
the pool house.
Yep.
So Joel just needs to get that built, or whatever, however that works. So Chris, anything going on at the schools?
Oh, lots of things. This is a busy time of year. So our friends at MVU wanted me to share that on April 16th, they hosted their first Franklin County Apprenticeship Fair, which was a really exciting opportunity. Were you all part of that?
We were.
Awesome, awesome. In their gym. So there were 46 vendors at that event that provided information to Franklin County students on jobs that they might be interested in upon graduation. And 7th and 10th graders attended that event. Northwestern Career and Technical Center students were invited to attend as well. And they did a lot of organizing and scheduling so that the folks that needed to connect with those vendors were able to do that. So there was a great article in the Messenger if you want to go online and check that out. That was a really exciting event for MVU and connecting folks to the community and so related to the pieces that you were just talking about, which is amazing. In Highgate, they're working on wrapping up the year with creating a new master schedule, getting things ready for next year. We have some transitions going on in the district with administration, and some of you might know that Yeshua Pastina, who is the current principal at Highgate, is actually going to be taking my place at Swanton. And Justina Jeanette, who was my assistant principal in the past, is going to be the principal at Highgate. So we're all kind of working on those transitions right now. And Yeshua was letting me know that they have lots of exciting trips that are being planned for the students at Highgate, Shelburne Farms, Shelburne Museum, Echo, and lots more. So they're very excited about that. In Franklin, Franklin always has a really nice connection with the Memorial Day celebration in the community, and their students are getting ready to work on that. They also had a really nice showing in the district-wide art show, and that was at MVU, and all of our schools contributed to that, and that was incredibly well attended. We also held a district literacy night recently, and we're really fortunate that for the last couple of years we've been able to have Paul Reynolds, who's a really well-known children's author of books like The Dot, come and present and talk about his books and sign his books, and that was a very well-attended event that we held at Swanton. We gave away a lot of his books that he signed and had lots of activities and really just work to inspire students to think about being a writer and what that means and having fun with that. It is obviously a big hiring time for us also in May. It's that time of year where we learn who might not be returning to their roles in our schools and working to fill those positions. So that's always really exciting. And we also find ourselves in a position of navigating some of the same pieces that you spoke about. I'm always amazed when I interview folks now, particularly those folks that received their teacher training during the COVID years, who will say that they did their student teachings, for example, virtually. And that just really it was what it was, and it really dramatically changes the professional development that I need to offer, the orientation that I need to do for those folks that really haven't spent much time in a classroom because everything was virtual. So similarly to the pieces that you were talking about. At Swanton, we end the year with a couple of really exciting recognitions for students. I am not a huge awards fan, but I really love these two pieces. The New England League of Middle Schools has an award called the Middle Level Distinguished Student Award, and Swanton has participated in that award for many, many, many years. And what I really like about that award is that while it includes a focus on academic achievement, it also includes a variety of other pieces, including service to classmates in the school, being a positive role model for peers, integrity, honesty, self-discipline, and our school-wide agreements to be respectful, responsible, and caring. And so we have two students, Jace Roulette and Alex Noel, who are going to be honored this year as our middle-level distinguished students. And one of the real standout pieces this year that really got me very excited about these two students is their nominations by their teachers really focused on these students stepping up and not being afraid to make a different decision when their peers might be kind of going down the wrong road, and not being afraid to say, I'm going to do something different, and that doesn't feel like the right decision in the moment, and that can be really hard when you're a kid. So that felt really good, that we were honoring students for having the courage to make the right decision when the people around you might be choosing something different. We also have an award that we call the SWAN Award, and we use the acronym SWAN to mean Students with Amazing Nobility. And we did that because we really want to talk with our students about the legacy that they want to leave at Swanton when they go, and how do you want to be known, and what kind of a reputation do you want to have? And we really feel like that conversation is an important one to have as students get older. And so we recognize students for their nobility and the positive reputation that they're leaving behind. We are spending a tremendous amount of time getting ready for our renovations in the Babcock building. The Babcock building is essentially being completely renovated this summer and fall. For us, that means moving many of our classrooms and offices over to the central building while that work is happening. And so that takes a tremendous amount of coordination and flexibility on the part of folks. And so we are in the throes of getting all of that planning done and keeping our eye on the prize of what that's going to be like when that work is all done. There's some HVAC work that's going to happen, and other pieces that are really just going to improve the learning environment for students in Babcock, and we're really excited about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Questions for Chris? I've got one.
Are you retiring?
Yeah,
I am not
that
quite
is
yet
exactly-
retiring.
Thank you.
I am going to be the principal at Eden Elementary, which is about 10 minutes from my house. It's a little bit more than an hour right now for me to get here from Johnson. And so I'm really just have come to feel like I need to reclaim some of that. It's about 12 hours a week of commute time for me that it just feels important to reclaim some of that time. So it was a tough decision, but I'm really also glad to be kind of handing the reins off to someone in our district who knows that work too.
And his commute is not that long.
And his commute is right across the street, so that's right.
Well, thank you for your wonderful connection with our group. And of course, everything you bring to the table and making connections between our presenters and your work. And you said the person taking your place is Yasmin?
Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Yeshua Pastina.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a parent in our school. He has 3 children at Swanton. and has been an administrator in our district for a few years now at Highgate.
Great.
He's going to be great. He's really excited.
And you will tell him about your
I
being
sure
here?
will.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good. Well, congratulations
Thank
to
you
you.
so
That
much.
sounds like a
And I've appreciated all
wonderful
that you all have done as well.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I think we should just switch quickly so we can get to Nicole ahead of Marie, because you need to go.
I do, unfortunately, but I appreciate you all, so thank you for the readjustment in schedule. We are so busy at Swanton Recreation, it is crazy. So we have, almost 200 Little League players in between T-ball and majors, just in Swanton alone. In addition to that, we have a very active track and field. We have branded our programs with different bird-themed characters. So this year we have the Swanton Rec Roadrunners as our track and field program. We're very fortunate for some funds from the United Way Substance Misuse Prevention Grant. They helped us buy some equipment to really boost up that program, and we are very, very, very excited. In addition to all of the fabulous clubs, youth-led initiatives, and other things that we are hosting, we are really excited that May is Youth Appreciation Month here in the state of Vermont. It is also National Mental Health Awareness, and with some collaboration and support from MVSD after school, we have an opportunity to provide some really unique, tailored things for our young people. Creative Heart Counseling is hosting an art and mental health gathering for teens tomorrow. Abby and I and one of our teen leaders is hosting a self-care spa day for teens towards the end of the month, because this is a busy time of year for them. And then our youth leaders are learning entrepreneurial skills using recreation. They're also helping to build and design clubs, and they're developing our mixed-use community garage space into a teen center, which is something that has been very absent here for a few years due to COVID, but they want it, and I said if they want it, they need to bring it back, and so they are avidly working on that. So every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5, we open our space up to the teens to be a teen center, and then on Friday, we welcome them back, but for youth-led clubs through the teen program. Abby and I are also going to host the second annual Youth Appreciation Gala at the end of the month, where community stakeholders have nominated some really, in my opinion, exceptional youth who have contributed to the community of Swanton, and that will be on the 31st, hopefully in the newly renovated library. So that's very exciting as well. We have also redesigned our community garden space. We're hoping to open that up here probably in the next week or two with a grand opening to invite everybody, so be on the lookout for that. We will host our annual Corn Fest on the second Saturday in August. We have In Cahoots coming to play. We have a variety of food truck vendors. There will be a 5K, which is great. Swanton Rec is also signed on to be an ambassador for the LVRT with the Agency of Transportation and Northwest Regional Planning, because that's another hat that I wear that I forgot to mention when I was introducing myself. I'm on the Northwest Regional Planning Commission, along with Nick over there. Townwide Community Yard Sale is coming on the 24th of this month. If you or your neighbors would like to sign up, please have them email the rec department. You can also find information on our website. If you haven't had a chance to go to our website, it has a long list of all the programs that I'm probably forgetting to tell you all about today, because it is a long list.
Well,
there's also going to be music in the park on May 30th, which is a series of family night style events that Promote Swanton is working together to host. I have a community calendar for anybody that wants to know what's happening in our community over the next several months. This is only just some of those things. There's more things to do here in Swanton probably than anywhere I've ever lived in my life, and I have been all over the place. So if anybody would like that. I also brought a press release that I have sent out to almost every local news outlet and all of our representation in Washington DC to let them know how important after school is and why they need to continue to fund that, but also to highlight some of the things that we're doing here in our community because we're doing them a little bit differently, and we're doing that to meet the needs of the young people here in our community. In addition to all of the things that we do for young people, and we are so impatient for the library to open back up. We've been doing nutrition classes with our SASH group and our Aging Vermonters, and so you can find me at the library at least once a month doing programs with them. Other things that I'm forgetting to talk about, the Abenaki Heritage Festival is coming to the Swanton Recreation Field on the 24th and the 25th. That, I think, is going to be a fabulous event. This will be their second year doing it there. The Memorial Day Parade will also be that weekend, so come on out for that. Block party in July. More music in August. I'm probably forgetting something, but then one other important thing that I would just like to share with everybody, as we continue to grow, we are continually out of space. And so one of the things that the Swanton Rec Commission Board of Directors has decided to do is they've started to collect signatures on a petition for them to pass along to the select board to let them know that the community supports the idea of a community center or some sort of indoor space here in our community for the community needs. And so I will leave a copy here for anybody to sign. I also have one in my office if anybody's interested in showing their support to recreation and our need for space, because we need it. We are using every nook and cranny of the building we have, and every storage shed, and hopefully every storage shed at every other place in town. But there are so many fabulous things going on in our community that we are bursting at the seams, and it's so exciting to be a part of all of that work.
Is there a specific space you are looking for or looking at? Acquiring or? We have preliminary concepts for adding space to our current location. The area in which Swanton Recreation sits is about 14 acres, but a majority of it being wetlands. So we were looking at one point in time, putting a building in our back parking lot because there is some space there. But that kind of stopped being a part of the conversation a few years ago, and we wanted to bring back the conversation to the select board to make sure that it continues to stay relevant, as it is a need for our community.
So, may I ask just to follow up on that?
Yes.
What happened to the community center discussion with the property that I thought the village owned was going to be conveyed to the town?
The village does own the site that we sit on at Swanton Recreation, so all of the conversations about a community center or additional indoor space has halted. And that's why the board felt that it was appropriate to gather community support now, to let those people at the table know that this is something the community is taking incredibly seriously, and that that's something that they want them to pursue. So that way, maybe there's less fear or less apprehension on putting that back out to the voters, or having more of a definite conversation on what that's going to look like for our community. The need for space is there. Gymnasium space is non-existent for us. And then having anywhere between 60 to 100 kids outside during the summer, during a rainstorm, is fun, and I like playing in the rain, but not every child does. Not every family likes to have their kids outside. So just making sure that we're providing a space for that, but also, during the day when our Aging Vermonters can't get into the schools that we use or other spaces, that they also have a space in our community to recreate, socialize, network.
Sure.
That's probably the other thing you forgot is day camps.
Oh yeah, day camps.
Nicole has has met a huge, is meeting a huge loss that when Notch took away their day camp program.
Yeah.
That was a drop-in day camp program for kids. And Nicole has stepped up and is offering day camp programming throughout the entire summer months. So for someone like me, who has 2 littles at home, you know, trying to find a daycare for just the summer is next to impossible. So my kiddos are super excited to spend the summer with Nicole.
I'm pretty excited too.
And you know, the thing I'm thinking as you've been speaking, and as all of you have been speaking, is how important this information is for the community as a whole. And we need to, our communications, and so grateful to Northwest Access for being here. But that will be one of our goals, is to make sure that there is more spread of this tremendous information and positive opportunities that everyone is working so hard to develop. So thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure to work with all of you around this room. It's been a great 5 years, and I look forward to continuing that work. I really am starting to see some results, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it when 15 to 20 kids pile into the rec center on a Friday afternoon because they want to be there.
Yeah.
When there's 15 to 20 kids, teenagers, not even counting the campers, that show up during school vacation camp because they want to be there.
Yeah.
It's last summer when the kids volunteered over 200 hours apiece to making sure that there was a safe, inclusive environment for everybody to be at all summer long. And they worked hard and they worked their tails off. And I'm constantly searching for ways to help provide them, you know, the money, you know, even without being paid, they still want to be there. So I'm avidly looking for ways to compensate them to be able to pay. When Notch left, it was a huge challenge for our community because it was a free style camp.
Yeah.
And having to charge has been challenging for a lot of community members. So we're trying to look at ways on opening up financial aid, supporting those families that need that assistance the most. We've been very fortunate to some of our local businesses that have sponsored spots for folks to come to camp this year.
Yeah.
So I've been able to open at least 4 spots for children to be there all summer long, thanks to some of our local businesses. If any other local business, or if you know of anybody else that'd be interested in sponsoring camp, please have them call our office. We are happy to help as many families get there as we can, and then we're extremely thankful to our partners at MVSD for continuing to support us in our work and try to open up opportunities. Because of that partnership, we'll be able to provide lunch and breakfast to every student that comes through our facility this year, which again is such a huge need for our community, as food insecurity is such a big thing here.
Well, thank you. Nicole, any other questions?
Another question. I don't want to go down the building rabbit hole, but you may blame it on Monica.
Sorry.
What's going on with the Armory building over, where are we? Over here?
The Armory building is still being used. They have.
Oh, by the Armory?
Yep.
Oh.
They're still.
I thought it had been vacated.
It is not. They are waiting on federal funding to build their readiness center out by exit 20. So they haven't even begun what that's going to be. So it's going to be 5 to 7 years before the Armory becomes available. And from where I stand, I've been in that building. I don't feel that that's an appropriate spot or meets the needs of our community. It's away from where our centrally located recreation resource is, along the trail next to the river, where it's not that it isn't accessible by the school, but there are no sidewalks getting to the Armory. So in my opinion, it's not a viable space.
I was just thinking from maybe a stopgap.
Yeah, no, I'm again sharing my thoughts on it.
Okay, thank you. So, Maria, are you going to tell us about the Arts Council?
Well, I can let, I
Oh,
can
sorry.
go soon, but I can let Maria go first.
Okay.
So when it comes to the Historical Society, we have National Train Day coming up. It's going to be on Saturday, May 10th from 10 to 3. So we're going to have a model train display set up. And it's our first opening day for the Historical Society. We also we're also going to be having some picnic tables built, hopefully as soon as we schedule it, by the Trailblazers from MBU with help from Vermont Works for Women. So we got the funding recently allocated for that by the select board, the funding for the materials. And so we're hopefully going to get those picnic tables out soon. And other than that, fundraising for the building is ongoing. We should be getting some of that going during the summer. So lots of things happening with the Historical Society. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Questions for me? So Marie.
Okay. So I have minutes from their last meeting, just highlighting some of the classes that they've been having, the Arts Council. And I'm going to start with the 10th anniversary, or 10th birthday party that they had on March 16th at the Swanton Library. They've had a youth watercolor class, a clay earring workshop, card making, candle painting. They had a Cinco de Mayo kids kitchen. Oh, that was Swanton Rec, right? And a few other things they had. They're going to have a migration, well, they're not sponsoring it, but they're advertising for it. The Friends of Missisquoi River, or the Missisquoi Refuge, are having a migratory bird show, hosting an art show at the Visitor Center beginning on May 17th. The focus will be on birds of the refuge and their habitats. Art will be on display until July 18th and can be viewed anytime the center is open. And there's for more information, contact Carol Yarnell at artshow@friendsofmissisquoi.org. The SAC, the Arts Council, is looking for proposals for free art projects. They've got a grant to fund these, and they have money to do even more than they have been doing. They're trying to have more art socials and artist gatherings for members of the Arts Council, members of the community, anybody that wants to get together and talk about art.
And are you on the town website too? Or I mean, is the Swanton Arts Council linked?
Yeah, they're linked on the website.
Okay, great.
It's under like community, right? Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know the answer to that. So some of the ongoing things are the Swanton Writers Group, the Knitting Circle, where people come in and knit for charity or just for fun. Saturdays are story time and related craft activities at the Swanton Public Library. Well, when it reopens, they will. And the Creative Heart business has, see Facebook for their events, but they're working with the Arts Council. I mean, in conjunction with the Arts Council. And I think that's all I can make of this.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have another question.
Yes.
It's more general. Is there a master calendar? I mean, there's so much going on. That's what she had, that's everything that Rec does, everything that Marie's doing, everything.
Yeah, it's well, right now it's like Rec,
Holy
Arts
smokes.
Council,
There's a lot.
library, and then the band, music in the park stuff.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I agree. It's more than one mind can hold, for sure.
Especially this one.
Yeah, okay.
I want to think about for the communications, maybe doing like just a quarterly newsletter to highlight
if people submitted different photos from the various events to be able to highlight the events.
Yeah. And I think too, we need to make more use of the Wednesday weekly at the schools. That is such a great way to communicate. I would think that the schools would want to have this type of communication.
Yeah, and we always have a calendar section in there that we can link things into if there are flyers and such, for sure.
Yeah.
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 We would do the same. We have a monthly newsletter, so we've got it going out to 200 employees once a month. So
Wow.
we could either link it or include parts of it.
So that's part of the thing that Promote Swanton is undertaking, is making like a calendar like that where everyone, like all of Swanton events are in one spot. So when you come into town and you're like, well, what's there to do in Swanton? You have that calendar that has all that stuff in it. So we've been working with, is it EcoPixel?
It is such
So
a difficult thing to accomplish.
Yeah, and we're doing a change to the website where it's going to have like a eat, stay, play kind of theme where you can see all the different places to eat in Swanton and stay. And
That's going to be on the Town and Village site?
yeah, the joint website. Yeah.
Great.
We're still working in the works.
Yeah.
Working on that.
It's hard to do. Okay. Susie.
Okay. Okay, so
it's spring.
It's spring, and so it is now time for us to get ready to plant and do all that stuff. So we're prepping pots this Saturday at 9 o'clock in the Village Green. If anybody wants to come and help out, we'll never turn away hands. So we're just gonna prep the pots and let them sit for the week, and then on the 17th we're gonna plant the flowers into them. So that will be on the 17th at 9 o'clock. We'll be planting. I've sent out over 30 donor solicitation letters to local Swantonians and local Swanton businesses. So you should get those in the mail.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but okay.
So that, and then our bulk fundraiser ends on the 15th. And so far we've made about $220 from that. So it's not a complete bust, but it wasn't as robust as I was hoping, but that's okay. We'll just move on. And other than that, so like I said earlier, the village did get the grant to cut down some trees and to remediate some of the trees in the Village Green. So I spoke to Heidi Valenta, and she's gonna help with the tree grant that Hank usually does, and since Hank's stepping back, I gotta step up. So she's gonna help me write that so we can get, do some of that. And then I recently heard from Bill that there was a tree taken down by the village in the park that's on Tanner Drive. And there's a request from some of the residents that beautification replace the trees. So that's something that I'll have to look into towards the fall. So
great.
I think that's all I have.
It's going to be beautiful.
It will.
It's going to be beautiful. How
Yep.
many people do you have on your committee now?
So we had 25, and then we've had a couple drop back out. So we're at 23 right now. But I did get a couple replacements, so I think we're back up to 25.
And I always have to add, that's from the first group of 7 people that started planting flowers.
Hank built.
So that's an amazing accomplishment, and the more beautiful it gets, the more attraction.
Oh, exactly.
Yep. We'll see you on the 17th.
You will.
Okay, Crystal.
Nothing super new to report. Still working on our parent screenagers screening and the parent component that goes along with that. I will say, as we're starting to see the warmer weather pop up, from my work perspective, we're seeing activities increasing. So I would encourage people, see something, say something. We're quite busy, but we're never going to be upset for people calling in things that they're seeing happening that may need some attention, some law enforcement attention. So,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no other nice way to say it. We're seeing a lot of overdoses that are happening locally. So, see something, say something. You know, people will call in. Sometimes they feel silly for calling because someone's knotted out in a vehicle. But you know, we send police and we send rescue sometimes, and that's saving a life. So.
Minor, Neil, but it should come to your attention. We lost another box on the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, Hank already
was
told you
filling me in.
about it.
It'll come back. Probably the one with my name on it.
You know, people always worry, but it wasn't.
It's on the side where the V is, right? That side of the bridge?
It's on the right hand, no, it's on the right-hand side
Is
as
it?
you head out.
I saw one that was really tipped and.
That was okay.
Okay.
Those were the ones they were trying to get off, but they couldn't, but there was one that according to Dean, it looked like they took a bat to it.
Oh. So.
Yes, so that falls along that see something, say something.
Yes, that's what
Certainly
it made me
give us
think
a
of.
call, you know, I know that our officers go off duty, but we always have the option to call in an officer. So I would encourage that.
But the question is too, last year we worked with the high school through Ross Lavoie to have the kids build the boxes. And so we need a box builder. I'm not looking across the room. I'm looking at you, Kirsten. Are you a box builder?
I am not a box builder, Molly, but I could probably put some feelers out.
Oh, that'd be great.
See how this goes.
And so Randy apparently is not going to be here. We have two people left on the agenda who are also not here. So the only thing we have to talk about is Neil.
Can I say something?
Of course.
On the chamber category there.
Yes.
As you probably know, the Swan Pond is being expanded.
Yes.
I think that's a major thing that, I'm not speaking for the chamber, but I know some of what's going on with them. They have new president, Darcy, and there's another girl?
Darcy and a woman, Elaine.
Oh, Elaine Nestor.
Yes, Elaine Nestor. And they and Suzanne Washburn has spearheaded the Swan Pond expansion. I know they have, and TDI has contributed quite a bit to the demolition of it anyway. I think Brandon's are putting the pond in, the new pond. I don't know who's gonna, I'm not sure what they're gonna have for a Swan building. I heard it's gonna be pretty good size, but anyway, the TDI is getting that for the swans too, for the swan and the duck. And I don't know who's gonna take care of the rest of the fence. They left three sides of the fence, so they're just expanding to the back side of the park.
Didn't we allocate $1,500 at the last meeting? Seth allocated $1,500 for that project.
But I'm not sure of the progress. They have the liner in the ground, so I don't know when it's going. But that's going to be a big change in the looks of the park. Besides the trees missing, but what else the chamber is doing, I don't know. But I know they're concentrating on the Swan Pond.
Excellent.
Can I just quickly speak to Promote Swan and the Abenaki Nation for a minute?
Of course you may.
So Promote Swan, we're meeting next Tuesday at the Bistro to talk about events that we have coming up that we can kind of leverage, and also about the website we're developing. And then the Abenaki Nation of the Missisquoi, we did lose federal funding for our food pantry. So we are desperate for donations. We are desperate for not only money donations, but food donations. So last year I had done a food drive around the time of the block party. I'm probably gonna do that again this year. But instead of just doing it for village workers, doing it as a whole for the community. So I think that it's important to support that food shelf, that out of all the food shelves in Swanton, the Abenaki Nation of the Missisquoi feeds the most people. We don't just feed Abenaki, we feed everybody.
Right.
And so it's important to help sustain and keep them going.
And how is that information getting out to the community?
I don't think it is right now. I don't think that if you know our chief, you know that she's a very proud woman. So I think oftentimes asking for financial donations is hard, right? We're proud people. We don't like to ask. It feels like we're asking for a handout. But I have come to realize that if I don't voice what my people and my nation needs, that sometimes it won't get voiced. So we have to advocate for each other, and we have to advocate for our nation as a whole. And so I come here humbly telling you that we are not yet in dire straits, but we will be eventually. And we need, in order to keep our doors open, we need the support of this community.
So I think we could probably also explain, so we do a lot of food reclamation. So we started doing food reclamation during COVID, where we were working with Hannaford's and Costco.
And we still do.
And Family Dollar.
Yep.
And they're certainly providing food. That said, a lot of the food that is provided are breads, pastries, things like that. The bulk of the foods that we're giving out, that are the basic staples like meats,
beans,
vegetables, beans, things that you would make a meal out of and not just a snack thing, are things that we purchase through the Vermont Food Bank, and the funding for that came from the federal grants, as well as donations. There's at the beginning of the order for the Vermont Food Bank, there's a list of free items. We took every free item possible because we're pushing it out the door. Yeah, they came in and said, we've got 25 boxes of pistachios. We'll take them. We'll find a use for them, right? At one point, we had diapers that were being donated to us, and we were pushing those out the door. Anything that that we could possibly help the community with, we were doing. And so when we lose those federal dollars and you lose the ability to get even some of those free items, it makes the shelves very bare, and it becomes difficult. And as Susie said, the Abenaki Food Bank is feeding. It's not just Swanton folks that we're feeding. We're feeding people from all over the area.
Albans, Enosburg, Elmer.
And so we're feeding people in a way that is there's no barrier. So if people come in and ask for food, we may not be able to give them all of the USDA foods because those are really restricted for income guidelines, but they always leave with food.
Do you have fridge and freezer space for meat?
Yes.
We do. You do.
Yeah, we were able to purchase during COVID. That was the one nice thing. COVID did provide some COVID dollars that allowed us to purchase additional, fridge and freezer space. And then John and Debbie Lavoie helped us to get a walk-in cooler, and then we definitely have space.
And the nation is currently working with the Village of Swanton for a grant to revamp the building so that there is a bigger walk-in freezer and refrigerator area in the back. So, but that's breaking ground probably, or no, not really breaking ground because it's just, it's a rehab. I think John said it would start in June, July maybe?
We also work with local farmers to do food reclamation at the end of the growing season, and sometimes we have to get real creative, and sometimes it's printing off recipes from the web and showing people how to use certain vegetables.
Are they open every day?
They're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
9 to 2.
But I will say that if somebody calls and says, you know, on Tuesday or Thursday and says, I'm in dire need of food, somebody will make sure that they have food.
Am I to assume that every food shelf in the state,
Is going through the
because
same
of
thing.
the money
Yeah.
that isn't going to the
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
bank, is being affected?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, gosh.
Yeah.
The majority of your funding all came from federal grants.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So a small number in terms of local donations.
Right, we have very small number of local donors, people who are Abenaki donating to keep it alive, and just some other members of the community. But there, you know, any donation is a I'm not gonna like say, oh, they're small donations or they're big donations, but they're donations that have helped sustain the food shelf. Missing the federal dollars and the fact that Feeding America is losing their funding, which is causing us to lose our funding, it's a domino effect that's not only hitting us, but it's gonna hit everybody. But
Sure.
it's gonna hit us pretty hard because last year we fed over 8,000 people. And, you know, to not be able to feed people and to have to turn people away eventually, it'll come a time when we'll have to do that, is really hard because it's not in our culture to do that. Our culture is we feed you, we give to you, we help, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
It is.
It's heartbreaking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What does
And
that budget look like that you're losing? Can you put it in a rough?
I don't know the numbers currently off the
I-
top of my head.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
as involved as I used to be, just because of the nature.
Just trying to understand,
Yeah.
you're talking about 50,000, 100,000.
I would say at least 50,000,
At least.
at least 50,000, if not more. And, you know, when, as Susie said, we're gonna start to see impacts, because even some of like Triple E was at one point was on the chopping block. Triple E provides a place for kiddos to access food, and if they don't have that programming, those families need to find someplace else to access that food for those kiddos. So that's where, you know, the food pantry programs come into play. So now we're getting double whammy and not having that. So it's a little scary.
yeah. Can I ask a
When
question?
you do your food drives,
Yes, ma'am.
I would recommend that you reach out to the school and maybe do the food drive in conjunction with the school. I know that there are really often classrooms, you know, they
Can we
tend,
get a competition?
they
between
tend,
grades?
and we've done stuff like that for
Yeah.
sure. They tend to happen around the Thanksgiving time,
Yeah.
around the other
Yeah,
times,
we
but
do
it could be
same
any
time.
time. And they tend to be not always planned as well and in advance and publicized, and
Yeah.
they tend to kind of be last minute. But if they were a little more planful and done in partnership, I think that they could really benefit.
I know that MVU does one. The postal service does one.
There's just this
And then, my kiddo's classroom did one, and they all walked down to the
Yes.
Nike building, so that was fun for them. But yeah, we definitely have seen support, and we're not saying that we're not thinking we're gonna continue to see that support, but
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
asking for more. I'm
The
sorry,
majority, yeah.
I'm not trying to be greedy, but I'm just asking for more support. Because the support we were getting from the federal government is diminishing, so
Yeah.
just to step
Food,
up.
shelter, and clothing, you know, it's
Yeah.
pretty basic.
Yeah.
Can you keep us
I-
updated? Oh,
I
I'm
do
sorry,
have a
Hank.
question.
Yeah, this is the time of year when amateur gardeners start tilling the soil and planting seed. And there's a program elsewhere that I've heard of called Plant a Row.
Plant a row, yeah.
So that you can get people to, in their amateur gardens, to plant a little extra specifically for giving to others.
And we've done that in the past, and we've also done the garden space at the rec center. And
we're always happy to accept. We've had folks that have dropped off, you know, I planted way too many zucchini, or I planted way too many tomato plants, and they're happy to, you know, drop those things off, and we have always been willing to accept those. The vegetables is not a problem. Meat sometimes gets a little tricky. We have some hunters that typically will offer meat, but we have to be very cautious because we do receive USDA funding.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting that we get a promotional program specifically for that product. I don't know quite how to do that.
Maybe we could throw that under the beautification umbrella.
I was just thinking
grow another row. We can put it out on the Facebook page and share it to the community pages, and I can have Christina put it on the website.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our
I
attention.
just wanted to, and that's all I have. I just wanted to.
Thank you.
I just had a question regarding the food bank. Is it still accurate that you can purchase food from the food bank cheaper than you can purchase it in the grocery store?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So that
absolutely
people
accurate.
know that, yes, it's great to donate it, but if you donated money, you could purchase
We can
more for
purchase
the
it
same
more.
amount of money.
Yes, because
Okay.
typically we would buy them in bulk,
Yes.
so, when we're purchasing
used to do
flats, when we're purchasing flats of vegetables and, like canned vegetables and things like that, we can purchase it, cheaper through the food bank.
And do you have somebody that hauls the food for you, or do they deliver it?
So the food bank does the delivery, we do pay, during COVID, they waived the delivery fees for the most part, but we pay by the pound, so for delivery fees. And then as far as, the food reclamation, that's a combination. We had, during COVID, it was 100% volunteers that were doing the food reclamation, and then we had some funding so that we were able to pay for mileage for folks that were doing that.
And now we have a truck that was donated by Parago, so we have a volunteer again who takes the truck and goes and gets the food reclamation. The guy I served in the guards with, Mr. Harry Sawyer.
Well, thank you all. This is the kind of information that we need to hear, and we need to spread this information in a dependable way, because I can only imagine the number of people that would want to come to the fore, or the number of businesses that would want to come to the fore when they knew there was a very specific need, particularly if it's food, shelter, or clothing. So I think it's a question of asking, and it's how the ask is made that will generate the interest. So maybe that's something that the chief, it's not asking for a handout, it's asking for the community to support the community so that we can all flourish.
Yep.
And that's what we're trying to do. So anyway, thank you. We are not meeting again until September. We're taking the summer off because our calendars are so full of various events that we just don't have time. But thank you all for your contributions, many. And I am sure as you observe, Monica, everybody at this table has about 2 or 3 things.
I'm amazed, and everybody is juggling so much.
Just
absolutely amazing.
giving. So thank you for being here, and happy summer. I hear it's coming next week.
My sons are like ready, 78 on Monday, Mom, I mean shorts, we can wear shorts to school.
Exactly.